Hey everybody, this is your week in review on VegasOdds.com. I'm Matt Brown. We're coming off a week that was headlined by the NFL Draft here in 2021, so let's get right to some NFL news, shall we? From Trevor Lawrence being selected first overall in front of the thousands of fans that attended in Cleveland. They even endured the pouring rain. Might I just add that it's just good to see the hype and the crowd energy around the NFL draft once again, at least compared to that at-home setup they had last year. Now, 8 quarterbacks and 14 offensive tackles selected in the first 3 rounds were actually the most ever in an NFL draft, and 15 receivers were tied for the 4th most since the common draft era began in 1967. So, you know what? That just further cements the fact that this is a passing league. In terms of maybe the most interesting pick, I can't ignore the buzz surrounding the Bears trading up to get Justin Fields in a surprise move. Since 2017, there are 4 quarterbacks that will have combined to earn $44.5 million from Chicago. And their names? Nick Foles, Mike Glennon, Chase Daniel, and Andy Dalton. Yeah, I didn't even mention Mitchell Trubisky, who will have raked in $29 million just by himself in that 2017 to 2021 time span. Now, that the new man in town is Justin Fields, and he will be guaranteed $19 million. Just keep that in mind when you think about the Bears and how much they'll be willing to spend to surround their QB1. Moving on to horse racing, and yeah, that picks up at this time of year at the Kentucky Derby that just spreads the hype around this big race to start the Triple Crown little run, and it was Medina Spirit beating out Mandaloun by a half length to win the 147th installment of the Derby, which was the closest finish actually since 2005. Bob Baffert won his record 7th Derby, and jockey John Velasquez won his 4th. Well, we'll see what happens at Preakness, but Medina Spirit is a horse that has come out of nowhere in terms of being a contender. This has been a pleasant surprise for him, looking to start yet another Triple Crown run. By the way, Baffert and Velasquez have now combined to win their 2nd consecutive Derby. Moving on to the major leagues in baseball. Los Angeles Dodgers have gone from being far and away the best team in the MLB to being a mere mortal once again after their recent string of series losses. But why, would you ask? Well, most point to bullpen woes and injuries, and I'll emphasize the latter here. Of course, injuries to former MVP Cody Bellinger don't help, and young upstart Zach McKinstry, who had a good start to the year, he's injured as well. That doesn't help the Dodgers, but the pitching staff has just been decimated. Brusdar Graterol, Joe Kelly, Corey Knebel, Tony Gonsolin, and David Price, just some of the names that have contributed to the Dodgers pitching staff before or in the year 2021, and all have been unavailable recently due to injuries. And now, the most recent big injury belongs to Dustin May. Not just coming out of the bullpen, he is one of their starting 5, a starter with a 2.74 ERA and 35 strikeouts in just 23 innings, and he is done for the rest of the season. So now Los Angeles down to just 4 regular starters, and we'll see how they will deal with that 5th spot in the starting rotation, as well as try to deal with that struggling bullpen. Now, a couple of teams just around the league that have been a pleasant surprise, that have been early contenders. The Boston Red Sox, right? Already a top-tier AL East record, only 2 years after trading their best player, Mookie Betts, to the Dodgers. So keep an eye on them to see if they can keep it up. And the San Francisco Giants have been pacing the NL West that many thought would be dominated by the Dodgers and the Padres. You can always go to VegasOdds.com to see which teams emerge as an early contender. Now let's move on to the NBA. Russell Westbrook became the only player in NBA history with multiple 20 assists and 20 rebound games. Only other player to even do it once is the great Wilt Chamberlain. He will also have averaged a triple-double for the 4th time in his career. Now, the Wizards are in need of Mr. Westbrook's great performances as they use the most recent 14-point, 21 rebound, 24 assist effort to beat the Pacers. Now, both rebounds and assists were career highs for Westbrook, by the way, but both the Wizards and the Pacers are jockeying for position just to make it into the play-in tournament. Now, other than that, around the NBA, a team that's trying to stay out of the play-in tournament and get a 6 seed or higher, well, the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are starting to play regularly again, or at least they're trying to get there for the Lake Show, and this time, it's that part of the season where they're trying to target making a full return after each dealing with injuries for a good chunk of the regular season. The Lakers have been struggling with their 2 stars out, but you know that health is so important down the stretch. So if James and Davis are as close to 100% as they can be right now, LA will definitely take it. Not only are they trying to heat up for the postseason, they still need to win some games to make sure they have a high enough seed to skip that play-in tournament and move on to the more traditional playoff rounds. So we'll see what happens in the NBA as they move towards their new playoff format coming up. And that's it for me this week here on VegasOdds.com. Always keep it here on VegasOdds.com for your latest sports news and betting updates. I'm Matt Brown, and we'll see you next time.